Alright, welcome to video 5. This one we're going to basically take all the parts that you've made and export them into a program called 2D Design and get them ready for laser cutting. And we're also going to customize this acrylic bit. Frustratingly, we're actually going to have to customize this twice. So the shape you're going to cut out and all the engraving, we'll do that first in 2D Design, and then if you've got time, because you're ahead, you can come back and do it in the program as it shows you at the end of this video. Okay, so by this stage you should have this complete, every single panel. What I want you to do now, this bit takes a little bit of work, so basically every single panel, we'll start with this one. You're going to double click, so you've selected it, okay, and then you're going to click, so it goes blue, sorry my computer's very slow, the face that represents what you want cutting out. Alright, so that there is obviously the rough laser cut shape we need. So we're going to select it, right click on it, export face as, and we're going to give it a name, okay? Now, before you do anything else, this should default to the folder where you're saving everything. So within there, make yourself a new folder and call it laser cut bits. If you missed that, I just click this little icon up here in Windows, or you can right click new folder. Okay, so make yourself a folder, and in there save this panel, but give it the name of what it is. So I would call this acrylic part sorry, x1 times 1. Click save. Okay, and you're going to do that for every single part now. Oh, I don't know why my computer's being so slow. I'm going to pause the video. Oh no, it's come back. Right. So when you've done one part, you're going to go up to the top and click return, and then you're going to pick another panel. So I'm going to go for the top panel. Double click this, select the bit that we want as a laser cut outline, which is that. Right click, export face as. It should go to the same folder. So now I'm going to call this top panel, and there's only one of these, so times 1. Click save. Okay, return again. And I'm basically going to repeat that for every panel, okay? So I'm just going to speed it up a bit. So this one, select it, select the face, right click, export face as. So call it long side. And we've got 2 of these which are identical, you might remember, so that's why I put times 2, so I don't have to do it twice. Right, so return. And now we've got 2 smaller sides, so select the one you want, select the face, right click, export face as, small side, times 2, okay, return. So all I've got left to do now is the bottom, the door, and the shelves underneath. So firstly I'm going to select this bit around the outside, select that, right click, export face as, bottom panel, times 1, return, same on the door, select, right click, export face as, battery door, times 1, return. Now we're not going to be able to see our little battery shelves that we need unless we make this thing invisible. So what we're going to do, we're going to pick the battery door, select it so it goes a blue outline, and then find it over here. You'll see it's highlighted, right click and untick visibility. Now that's made it invisible so that we can now select this part, okay? So select the shelf, select the outline, because they're both the same, right click, export face as, battery shelf times 2. Okay, return, and then you might as well make your battery door visible again. So find it over here, it's greyed out, you can see, right click, visibility. Alright, good. So we've exported all the panels, we're now going to import them into 2D Design. So don't close Inventor, do save it, but you'll be coming back to it, so just minimize it, and then you're looking for an icon that looks like this one, 2D Design version 2. Load it up. If you get a box like this, just click anywhere, it will go away. First thing we're going to do is resize the page, so you're going to click this little icon up here, and we're going to set it to the size of our laser cutter. Oh, this is really slow. I think stupid Windows 10 is doing updates again. Let me pause the video and come back. Alright, we're there. Okay, so the size we're using for the laser cutter is A1. Our laser cutter is 900 by 600, but this is close enough. So select that sheet, click OK. Right, what we need to do now is import all those panels we just exported out of Inventor. So you're going to go File, Import File, and now you need to browse to where Inventor saved your work. So for all of you, you'll need to go to your documents. There should be a folder in there called Inventor, and in there you won't have as many folders as I do because I've made loads of Inventor projects, but the one I was using was called Nightlight Smart Product Design 2. Yours will have a name that you named it. There's the folder I made called Laser Cut Bits, and now what we should see is all of the panels here. Okay, now before you do anything, just click on them and you get like a preview. Just inspect them and check that there's no problems with any of them, so any details missing. Sometimes I've had it where this panel, the holes in the middle don't come out, and sometimes on the acrylic part you'll only get like the bottom half and not the square along the top. If that does happen, I'm just going to show you how to fix it now. When you export your panel, so say it was this one, select it, right click, export face as. If that panel was having a problem and not appearing correctly, before you save, go to options and choose AutoCAD R12 format. I can't remember, I'll be honest, if it's this AutoCAD 2000 or AutoCAD R12, and basically export it in that format. Next, finish, and just click OK. And then sometimes outlines that weren't appearing will appear if you select one of those two modes at the bottom, but you'll have to experiment. Okay, hopefully it doesn't happen to you. So in this case it didn't happen to me, so I'm going to just import all the panels, paying it. So here we go, where is it, documents, Inventor, and then find your project. So acrylic part ×1, it's going to open that. Very important here, you tick millimeters, don't tick anything else, just that one. Okay, now if you've never used 2D design before, you can select things with this arrow on the left, and this little square in the middle that appears will allow you to drag things around. Okay, so just, you know, experiment with that if you've never done it. Anyway, go and import all the rest of your files. So I've got battery door ×1. Going to open that one, millimeters, yep, all good. Start putting them close to each other, and we'll talk about why we're doing that in a minute. Battery shelf ×2, so I need to put one of those in, and I need another one. Now, if we select it, you can zoom in, by the way, with these little plus symbols up here and minus, look. If you select a part, in 2D design you can click this little button down at the bottom, this little square here which says copy, and you'll see that makes you an identical copy, so it saves you having to go back and get things. Okay, so anyway, let's do the rest. Import battery shelf, we've done. Bottom panel ×1, let's open that up. Okay, file, import file, and then we've got long side ×2, so I click that to make a copy, so I've got two of these guys, and then small side ×2, so let's put that one in. Excuse my cold yet again. And file, import file, all we've got left is the top panel. Okay, good. Right, so just do a bit of an idiot check here. You should have an acrylic bit, battery door, the bottom part that the battery door is going to fit into, two long sides with holes in them, two battery shelves, top panel, and two short sides. All right, total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 pieces. Okay. What we need to do now is we're going to do some efficiency savings. So I'm going to, hopefully this will make sense to you when you've got the pieces in your hand. This battery door is obviously going to fit into this piece here. Agreed? So if you think about how the laser cutter would work, if it follows all the paths, if it cut this bit out and then cut this hole out here, the piece of material that falls out of the hole is basically the same shape as this guy anyway. So why should we waste another piece of material to make this when we can put that into here? Okay, so to do that we're going to select this part, right click, and we're going to select ungroup. Now hopefully that will allow you to then select the inner area, and you're going to delete it, so just hit delete on your keyboard. And what we're going to do now is take this and drag it into the same place inside. Okay, doesn't try and make it match, but it it shouldn't. Well, it does matter slightly, I suppose. It needs to be the same distance all the way around the edges, okay? But we can see that clearly is. Right. Next thing we're going to do, we're going to start putting things closer together. So I'm going to select that as a box, which allows me to pick both bits. Grab it. I'm going to put it that close to this one. What we're trying to do now is minimize wasted material on the sheet of plywood that we put in the laser cutter. Because if you imagine, the laser cutter will be burning all of these shapes out of one giant piece of wood. Any gaps like this is just going to be wasted wood. We're not going to use it. So what you're aiming for is to put these bits into a nice compact shape. And for our numeracy bit for today, when you try and fit shapes together like this, we call it tessellation. You might have learned that in maths. That's where the name Tetris came from. The game Tetris. I'm sure you've played it. Or have you? You kids were born like in the 2000s, weren't you? Or even later than that. I don't know. Man, I'm old. Anyway, if you played Tetris, this should be familiar. So, tessellate all your parts together. The one bit I wouldn't tessellate is your acrylic window, which we're going to move off to one side for a second. So, now I've moved that actually, it might make more sense to put this guy here. Okay. So, leave yourself a little gap. Don't have them actually touching each other like that, but try and arrange things in the neatest, minimal way possible, alright? And that if you do this, our technician will thank you as well, because you're making his life easier. Good, good, good. Right, a few other things we need to do. This will make no sense to you unless you've seen the demonstration of how the laser cutter works. Now, the laser cutter, we use colours to program different things. We use the colour black to signify anything we want cutting as an outline. We use red for engraving, but we're not going to be doing any engraving on these parts, although we will on the acrylic bit in a minute. And then we use blue for anything we want cut first. Now, this is kind of important. If you've looked at the laser cut, you'll see the bed of it has big slots in it. It's like a big drain cover. And basically, if you were to cut, what can sometimes happen is with a laser cutter cuts this outline, say for this shape here, and then the shape falls through the slats in the laser cutter, falls through the middle, before it's finished cutting all the detail. So quite often you could cut this and it will fall in the machine before it's cut the little circle. So what we do is anything that's inside another shape, we colour it blue so that the laser cutter cuts that first before it cuts the outline. If that didn't make sense to you, don't worry too much. It will do when your teacher shows you the demo. So right, what we're going to do now, in order to change the colour of things, we'll start with the one that we've already ungrouped. So we're going to pick that inside battery door bit that we moved in, and we're going to go up to here where it says colour next to line. We're not going to click line, we're going to click colour, and you're going to choose this colour blue, the one on the bottom. None of the others, just that one. Okay, click OK, click off it, and that should be coloured blue. To change the colour of the inside bits of these 5 panels, we need to ungroup them. So arrow tool, select them, right click off them, ungroup. And now you should be able to pick that bit, colour blue, and then just rinse and repeat. So that one, right click, ungroup. No, we don't want to colour the whole thing, so it's just the little circle, colour blue. Okay. Right, now when I mark your work, one of the things you'll be handing in is a sheet of this proving you did this laser cutting bit. So make sure you use the correct colours, because that will get you the most marks. Okay, select, right click, ungroup, and then colour blue. Okay, I'm just going to draw a box around that lot and move them a little bit closer. Every little counts. And what I'm going to do now, I'm happy that that lot's all safe, so I'm going to draw a box around it, everything, right click and group. So this way I can't really make mistakes and I can move the whole thing around the screen nice and easy. Okay, not that I want you to do it, but just a few other things that are quite useful in 2D design if you want to use it in the future. We talked about that one that copies and this one that moves. This one flips it left to right. This one flips it vertically. Oh. And this one rotates it. Okay, but we don't want to rotate it. It doesn't matter for what we're doing now. Right, onto this guy now. What might be a good idea is to rotate that round. But I don't want to just guess at the angle. So we're going to rotate it. If yours is upside down, we're going to rotate it 180 degrees. If actually we can do that, yeah. So select it and click this arrow here. That'll flip it upside down, nice and easy. Right. We want to turn this into a nice, interesting 2D outline. Let me just pause the video and find you a picture of what I mean. Okay, so the sort of thing I'm talking about is this here. This guy, all full credit to him. I think he's making these things and selling them for like 80 quid a pop or something. I'm not trying to cash in on your market, mate, if you find this on YouTube. It's just my students making it, so treat it as a compliment that we're copying your ideas here. I don't want you to copy the wolf exactly, but I like the technique he's used here. So we're going to make a 2D outline of an image, and then we're going to use these kind of lines to zigzag across it to give it a kind of three-dimensional effect. And if we engrave these lines, they'll catch the light and it'll illuminate. Okay, so I think that's a really nice style that this guy's got. So basically this bit now is completely up to you. You're going to customize it, but just follow the method that I show you with your custom shape. Just make sure your image is interesting and appealing and not offensive or upsetting to anybody. Okay. Right, anyway, so I guess we need to start this by finding an image of what you want. Alright, so you need to find an image, I guess, to base your design off. So I'm going to go with dinosaur. Now, the image you pick is important. It needs to be a very crisp and simple outline. Something like this with stuff in the background is a no-go. The process won't work well. These sort of realistic dinosaurs have probably got too much. Some of them might work if they've got a nice crisp outline, but they've got a lot of detail on them. So I'm going to go with this guy here because my kid's into dinosaurs and this looks like you know, a kind of kid-friendly dinosaur. So what we're going to do, we're going to copy that picture, copy image, or sorry, in fact you might want to do this. So say you're going to save that image or copy it. No, what are you doing, Google? I don't know. Select it, however you do it. Oh goodness, what have I done here? I've ended up on some website. Let's just copy it. So copy the image, go into 2D design and right click paste. Now hopefully the image should load in. Okay, you may need to zoom out or zoom in, and then using the normal image tools you've got these kind of squares around the outside that will allow you to resize it like you would do in any program. Alright, don't worry too much about the size for now because we're going to adjust that in a minute. But what we're going to do is we're going to turn this image into an outline and then add it onto here and blend it in. So select your image. I would advise you to make in a minute. Actually, no, we're going to size it first. Okay, no. We'll size it first. Sorry, if this will make sense. Right, so maybe put one corner on your square, get the other corner and drag it down so it kind of fits within your shape. Alright, and we are going to basically blend. We've got to always keep these bits on the bottom where our LEDs sit, but we're going to blend this in so this is our outline. Alright, what you want to do now, maybe zoom in a bit. I would advise at this stage, when it's the right size, click copy so you've got 2 copies of your picture. Very important you do this because we're going to need this again to be the same size as this one. We don't want to have to guess the size. Right, go up to bitmaps and you're going to choose contour bitmap. Now this will only work well if you've got a nice simple clean outline. Where it says contour spacing, set it to something really tiny like 0.1. Click, make sure outside and toolpath are selected. Click OK, and what you're going to do is click just outside the shape of the dinosaur. It'll take a while, but if I zoom in, I don't know if you can see what it's done there. It's drawn a very faint black line around the shape of the dinosaur without you having to trace it. Okay. Right, this is where we now select the image you had and delete it, and that's why we made a copy, so that this is identical in size. Okay, now this is sort of ready, but the problem is if I laser cut that as it stands, I'm going to end up with several pieces. I want to blend my dinosaur into my acrylic part here. So what I'd like you to do, if yours is similar, get the line tool, and you'll have to sort of do this as you will, and just join lines to blend your shape in. You'll see where I'm going with this. Right. When you've got something like that, go down to the bottom where it says Del Any, click and hold, and choose the second tool along. This will allow you to delete part of an object. Now you'll see what it does. If I click here, it deletes the line up to where it crosses another. If I click here, it'll delete that, 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 and that. You can probably see where this is going. I'm just deleting the bits of the line that I don't want. Now sometimes it will do that and screw up. Don't go mad with the clicking. You can go edit undo, but frustrating thing about this program is you only get one undo. Don't ask me why. So anyway, Del Any, let's try snipping that bit first. Sometimes the order you snip them makes a difference. I don't think I want the feet, so I'm going to trim them away. Sometimes if you've got loads of inside stuff to delete, just drag a box around it and hit delete. Okay, now hopefully you can see what we've got there. We've got our acrylic piece. It's now got the shapes for the LEDs to slot in, but it's now the shape of a dinosaur. Okay, happy days. Right, I don't really want these bits cut out for the eyes, so I'm going to you can see it's selecting all of it. So if yours does that, remember, right click. If you don't have ungroup, you can choose explode, which isn't as cool as it sounds. Explode fully to simple objects, click continue, and that should, there you go, allow you to select them individually and press delete. Okay. Right, good. So what I'm going to do now, just because I'm extra cautious, I'm going to make yet another copy of my dinosaur. So I've always got this guy safe in case something goes wrong. Very important you don't adjust the size of any of this now. What I would do, however, is select all of that. In fact, actually, this little bit where his legs are, I'm gonna keep that, but I'm gonna colour it blue so it gets cut first, and then I'm gonna select all of it, and I'm going to group it together. Right-click group. That way, I can't really mess it up. Right, I'm gonna take my T-Rex now. I'm gonna do something to make it a bit easier to help. I'm gonna go to Bitmaps. Select it first. Go to Bitmaps, and then click Enable Transparency. What that does is make any white background completely transparent, so that will make it easier to sort of line it back up with how it went. Now hopefully if you've left your bottom left corner intact, it should be fairly easy to line up. Right, the choice now is down to you. You could, if you wanted, for your image, trace over manually all these lines for the dinosaur, and actually just use the cartoon detail. So I'll pause the video and show you what I mean by that. It will just magically appear in a second. By the way, I would be using a combination of the line tool here and actually more specifically the path tool. So for instance, I'm not going to draw all of them on this bit. I'll pause it and come back. If you want to use the path tool, you will need to turn off step lock. Step lock, you'll see, makes the mouse jump to dots on the grid look. Definitely don't have grid lock on. Look, that jumps whole dots on the grid. So you basically want to make sure both of those are turned off and choose path. But then what you could do is you could do click, 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 click. If I just move the dinosaur out of the way, you'll see what it's done. I've traced that line, okay? So I'm just going to pause it and show you what that might look like. Alright, sorry, I should have said I've just come back. Before you start drawing these lines, make sure your line colour is set to we'll go with green. Okay, that's not a great choice for my dinosaur because I'm not going to be able to see it. Okay, but green is the colour we use for outline engraved. So click that, click OK, and then draw your lines. I'll pause and I'll come back and show you the finished article. Alright, so that took me probably about 5 minutes to do. I've actually realised now I've deleted the dinosaur, I've got a few bits missing. What you're looking for obviously is to basically draw over all the details. I used a combination of the straight line and the spline path tool, sorry. As I can see here, I need to join his foot up to make this look right. So I can't possibly account for all the different designs you guys have got. But, you know, just do it until it looks right, really. The other thing he probably needs is an eye. So I'm just going to sort of wing this one, really. There we go. So it's up to you, but basically anything you draw in green will get engraved, which is like scored in, and then the idea is the light will pick that out, a bit like that wolf. Oh, there we go. A bit like that wolf image here. Okay, that's the plan anyway. All right, so there you go. If you've done that, What I would strongly advise you do is select everything. Remember, anything that needs to be cut out inside should be blue, anything engraved should be green, and anything outlined should be black. Right click and group it all together, and then move it, sort of zoom out a bit, move it mostly over to here, but not quite next to it, and then we're going to put some notes on there to help the technician. So if you're done with your image, delete it, and what you're going to do now is go get the text tool, and you're going to type, and before you do anything, you go settings and choose the colors for line and fill to be something obscure, like basically anything but these colors along the bottom. So I'm going to go with like shocking pink. Okay, I'm going to set the fill to the same color, make sure they're the same. We set them to a random color so that the laser cutter doesn't cut the text out. So all I want you to do is instructions to the technician. So I'm going to write, please make all below from 4mm thick plywood. Okay, and obviously that's massive, so you can get the little corner arrow and shrink it down. Make sure it's legible. Now basically the technician will set the laser cutter to ignore any colours that aren't the ones that I've shown you to use. So text tool again, please make dino out of clear acrylic, clear 3mm acrylic. Okay, and again shrink it. Okay, and that is it. The technician now will take care of this as long as you save it in the right place. So when you're done with this, save it in 2D design. So save it in your documents. Hopefully you've got yourself a smart product design folder set up if you haven't put one there. So you know, hopefully I don't have to show you how to make a folder. Click new folder, smart product design work. Okay, and save it as your name. Okay, now what I also want you to do is save it on the correct area in the student drive. So I will type out basically I will set an area up on the student drive for you to save to. I'll just type the link for you now because I'm on my laptop at home and I can't show you it, but I'd like you to save to the student drive, which is M. So go to my computer, choose the M drive, and you're going to search for the folder called Tech, and then you're going to go 3D. I think there's a folder called 3D printing and laser cutting, and within that folder I'll make a new folder called your class. So the first class I'm doing this with is 9B Smart Product Design 2017. If you're watching this video in the future, your class will be a different code. Okay, save it in that location that I've just typed there, but as your name. Okay, if you get stuck on that stage, ask your teacher to help you. Right, that'll do for now. Basically, if you've done that, you've done everything necessary to manufacture it, so well done. For the next video, I'm going to show you as an extension task, so this is for those of you who are aiming for like the B's and the A's and the A star grades, how to try and get our inventor model to look as good as our 2D design dinosaur does, and also how to do some cool things like basically take some screenshots of this and put them in a little report for your evidence. Okay, so anyway, that video will do. That was quite a long one, but that's pretty much you finished. Do move on to the next video if you finish with time left though.